You are listening to the Co-Movement Gym podcast. The following is a conversation with Sara Niccoli. Sara is an ultramarathoner that holds the fastest known time for the 143-mile Northville Lake Placid Trail, completing it in just 2 days, 8 hours, 39 minutes, and 23 seconds. She also currently holds the female fastest known time on the 22.6-mile French Louie Loop, with a time of 4 hours, 51 minutes, and 17 seconds. She has participated in multiple ultramarathons, including the Pinhoti 100, Cayuga 50, Morgan Hill Meatgrinder 50, Arches Ultra 50, and others. She is a member of the Utica Roadrunners and expresses much gratitude for the incredible local running community here in Utica, New York. I would like to thank our sponsors, Native Pass Supplements, Lombardi Chiropractic, Home Sweet Home Cleaning, and Thin Line Martial Arts. If you are enjoying this content, I ask that you support these companies in the description and take advantage of the enticing discount they're providing our listeners by using our code COMO15, that's COMO 15. I thank each and every one of you for being on this journey with us. Now, please enjoy the show. All right, Sara, welcome to the Co-Movement Gym podcast. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we met a few months ago, and in the conversation, you had mentioned the Northville Lake Placid Trail. So I want to start off the conversation with, where does that trail start? Where does it end? What kind of trail is it? Like, just give us a little bit of background on it.
Yeah, so the Northville Placid Trail runs from Northville, New York, to Lake Placid, almost entirely on trail through the heart of the Adirondacks, almost bisecting the Adirondack Park. The distance is 143 miles. It's New York's main long trail. The majority of people traditionally, when they backpack it, are going to go south to north. However, for a fastest known time attempt, you slightly lose elevation if you go north to south. So it makes more sense to go north to south. So that's what I did.
What like trail conditions are you talking? Like, is it mostly like single track? How much does it vary? What are you looking at for trail conditions?
Yeah. So this trail, you gotta love those East Coast roots, rocks, mud, blow down. If you're gonna get frustrated about having to scramble, then this is probably not the trail for you. Your feet are definitely gonna get wet. My feet were wet the entire time. You're going to have to just scramble and learn to keep moving no matter what it throws at you. It is very, very deep in the Adirondack Park, and the trail stewards do an awesome job of, they're volunteers that take each section, and they do an awesome job of cleaning it up. But you're in nature, and trees are falling down, and storms are coming, and it's not a trail that gets cleaned up every day by any means. So there are some sections where you're just like, you're kind of rooting around those big areas of blowdown, or, beaver dams had come down and you're just walking through water. So
yeah, and
I love that.
And you're by yourself, Sara, right? Doing this?
Yeah, so I did it. I did the FKT attempts in the unsupported format, which means that you carry everything you need yourself for the entirety of the effort. You can't stash. You got to have it on your back. You can filter water. You don't have to, carry all your water. You can filter, but literally you're not, taking a candy bar, or, you don't have anybody coming out to cheer you on at the intersections. You're just, I got dropped off by a couple of friends at the beginning, and I got picked up by some friends at the end.
Daunting. a trail that length, I'm assuming that there's sections that you're a long ways from a road and like people in a town. Like, tell me about that, because when I'm new to trail running, I don't go super far, nothing like this. But when I'm out there a little bit on my own, like things start to like pop into your head. What if I hurt my knee or break my ankle, and like little things. And I'm not nowhere near out where you were, but tell me about like sections or where you were the farthest from civilization. Like, how does that work if something goes wrong?
Yeah, so I would have to look at the map again, but the farthest you're ever going to be from a road is maybe 8 to 12 miles, which is significant if you're injured. Um, there are sections where there aren't, where you are very, very deep in. And that's one of the things I just love about it. You're out there, you're seeing moose tracks, you're just really, really out in the wilderness. Um, I, I'm a trail runner. I feel very comfortable in the woods. Am able to just dirt nap in leaves and not, that's the wonderful thing about the Northeast. There's really nothing that's going to get you. I also am a road runner, and honestly, I feel more dangerous out on a snowy day in central New York with those plows going by than I do out on the trail in the middle of nowhere. But I do take safety precautions for sure. I had during the effort, I had a tracker and I had people who were watching me and knew what terms to come out and look for me. So, if I had stopped for several hours, or if they ever saw me turn around, the only way I would ever turn around and go back the other way is if I was in trouble.
Mhm.
Then they were people who are comfortable on trail and able to run out and get me. I, under no circumstances, wanted a rescue because that's just so humiliating. A DEC rescue. But I mean, if you need it, you need it. But I would have rather had friends bring me, if in case I became hypothermic or just needed a rest, people bring me a sleeping bag and make a fire and get me ready to get out. But none of that was necessary. I've been lucky in all of my, wilderness adventures. I have not run into any problems. It is ultimately pretty safe out there if you're
Yeah,
if
you're
you
right.
if you're behaving, if you act safely, if you've
Sure.
got what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You mentioned a tracker. What kind of technology is that? Is that something you buy? Is it on your phone? Like, because I've like Pat Hallahan, when he was doing the Tahoe race, I followed him on a tracker on a website essentially. How do you, or someone like me, like, how do you get your hands on that technology?
Yeah, I used a Garmin InReach Mini, which is just a small, I believe it's like a satellite communicator.
Hmm.
It's very primitive in terms of its ability to. You can text from it, you can't call from it. So uh, and it's tracking your movement. So anybody that has the link can see. It's pinging. Like, you can set it to whatever you want. I needed the battery to last a long time, so it was pinging my location like every 10 minutes or something.
Hmm.
And that did, in one of my failed attempts, I did become hypothermic, and I needed to turn around and get myself out of there. And the person who was watching me could see that happen. And it was wonderful because when I hit the first crossing, they could see where I was heading, and they were there within like 20 minutes. And I was very cold, and I really needed someone with like clothes to warm me up, and there he was. So it was very good.
Wow, that's a huge peace of mind. So how much does something like that cost? The
Mm,
Garmin?
they're very expensive. I mean, to me, expensive is like a few $100.
Mhm.
So they're really, it's for people who are really going to need to use it. And then we all, like our adventurers, we all borrow each other's stuff. So, you know.
Yeah, no, that's what I would say what you're into, and other people in similar adventures, like a few $100 for that level of safety is pretty huge. I know I did some elk hunting out in Aspen, Colorado, and my friend Matt and I were way back. And we had something similar. I think it was a GPS, but it also had some kind of button on it where it sent out like some signal. I don't know if it went to the
Yes.
Coast Guard or to who, but it
Yes.
was like a safety button. You don't want to hit that unless you ultimately need to, but it was a peace of mind knowing if something really bad's happening, we're not truly alone, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Mine has that. It has a button that's the emergency button. So absolutely. I probably should use it more than I do at this, for most of my mountain running, I don't use it. But for those long efforts when you're going to be out without a lot of sleep and your
Mhm.
mind isn't necessarily making the best decisions, it's for sure a good thing to have.
Yeah, and if you've already made the purchase, why not? Just send
Yeah,
send the
the thing
link
is you
and,
have
and
to
have
keep a monthly subscription. So,
you. Okay, sure.
yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Well, I'm really curious, Sarah. Like, I know I get these different ideas, like with fitness challenges or different things that come across my mind, and I'm inspired for a reason to do something. But like with this Northville Lake Placid Trail and the FKT attempt, and now you have the FKT. What inspired you to tackle that?
Um, so I got into ultra running in 2019. Let's see, was it 20? No, that's not true. My first ultra race was 2017.
Mhm.
And then and then COVID happened. And so races were canceled. I had wanted to do 100 miler, my first 100 miler on the Pacific, no, in Lake Tahoe. And I was signed up for that, but it was canceled. And so I just got into doing all the exploring that I could in our backyard here, and loved it. So I was doing, making up routes in the high peaks. That's one thing I love to do, is just, put these long routes together in the high peaks and go out and do them. We have so many wonderful trails, and you can certainly piece together your own ultra. And then I got it in my head that I wanted to do the Northville Placid Trail because there was no record of a women's fastest known time. And I was confident that, one way or the other, I could do it, whether I could, beat out the male record or the mixed gender record was a question mark. But I felt like, given my training and basic ability, I could at least finish the thing and get a women's record on the books. But then as I trained, I then decided I wanted to tackle the overall record.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, right now, do you have the overall FKT or is it the women's FKT now? I didn't look, but I forget what you had said, Sarah.
Yeah, I have the overall record. So
Okay.
my A goal was to beat the overall. There was a change to the route. It used to be 133 miles and now it's 143 miles. So
Mhm.
my A goal record was to beat even the time on the shorter route. That was the big, if I could do that. The B goal was to beat the overall record on the new route. And then my C goal was just to finish it, and get a women's record. I
Mhm.
had a great day and was able to get my A goal by, I think I beat the overall record on the old route by, I think it was like 2.5 hours. And then I beat the overall record on the current route by about 6 hours, I think.
Damn, yeah, you smashed it. That's awesome. What I want to chat about just the overall experience, like starting with mile one, right? Like, what time did you start? I want to talk about like sleep, any issues, like just give us like a 101 version of the overall 2 days and 8 hours, I think it was.
Yeah. So I attempted the route 2 times before I got to my 3rd attempt, and I learned so much in each one of those attempts. It was really the second one. I made it to 107 miles, and I did 2 things that I knew that I had 2 issues I needed to improve on. One was my sleep strategy, and the second was just, I had stopped in a storm. That was the issue when I had become hypothermic. And I learned never stop. Just unless your body cannot go, do not stop. And on the and then in terms of sleep strategy, I learned I needed to make a rule and stick to the rule and not wonder whether I should be sleeping or not sleeping, because when you're out there you can obsess over anything anything and
Mhm.
everything, and your body will want you to sleep. And if it's always an option, it can become overwhelming. So when I was out there, I had a very uh, also based on previous pacing, I had a very clear pacing strategy. I planned for drop off. I was able throughout the effort to know that I was always ahead, which was a huge mental boost. My
Mhm.
another thing is, like, I had been overly ambitious in my previous attempt, and everything in this kind of adventure is what your brain is doing, and how you can manage your thoughts. So um the anxiety I had experienced previously of constantly being behind really weighed on me. So in my successful attempt, I put together a plan where I could get the record, but I was planning for a significant amount of drop off, and I was able to kind of always be ahead, which just kept me going. For the sleep strategy, I planned to run all the way through the first. I started at 6 a.m. with the first light, to run all the way through the day, all the way through the night. The little things matter. Like, to go into that night, I stopped and made myself instant mash, like cold instant mashed potatoes, which, believe me, is unbelievably delicious in those conditions. Um, and like put on a book as my reward for just like running through the night. Um, and then run through the whole next day until as far as I could get into the next night. And that was just my rule. Like, I was not going to sleep. It was not an option. I wasn't going to stress about it. It was just, that's what it was. And that worked very well. So I made it into the second night and slept about an hour and 20 minutes at 11 o'clock. And then I got up in that second night, and and I also took my shoes off. That was the first time in like however many hours, like 40 hours, I had taken my shoes off. And so I was just out. I just only carried a quilt and an emergency bivy, so I would lay that, those whatever material those very light emergency bivvies are, just lay that on the leaves and then put my quilt over me. um, and so basically take my shoes off so I could just very quickly lay down and go to sleep. It wasn't like a big unpacking deal. I wasn't cooking or anything like that. And then I needed to sleep one more time, as deep into the night on that second night. I was just really fading, and I let myself set an alarm for 20 minutes, and I just dropped in the leaves, didn't put anything down, didn't take my pack off, slept for 20 minutes, and that was amazing. I woke up and was like, I'm okay. And
Wow.
was able to finish it out. So the sleep strategy definitely worked for me.
So you only slept an hour and 40 minutes the
Yeah.
whole time?
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
Wow. That's insane. Like, yeah, I don't know how you get up after sleeping. Like the first interval was an hour 20 and the other one was 20 minutes. Like my body would be like a cement block. Like, I don't know how. It must be that your nervous system didn't fully come off of the experience yet because you were able to just get up and keep going. What do you, how, like, you can't train for that really. Like, how do you think you're able to sleep for such a short amount of time, get a big boost and keep going? Is it that beneficial?
Yeah, you can't train. I mean, my understanding and the research I've done is that you really can't train for sleep deprivation. You're not
Mhm.
going to go out and deprive yourself in training in order to be better at it. But you certainly can train your body to recover quickly and as you go. So I just had I've been working with a coach since 2020, who really got me ready for this. It was our goal. We did a lot of back to back efforts. So doing 2 long runs on a weekend. I think the longest I did was like a 26 miler backed up to a 13 miler. So we're not talking about huge miles, but just teaching the body to kind of recover as you go, and also to run on tired legs. Uh, and the difference between when I did my first ultra and really wasn't trained for it to kind of being in a state of just being trained kind of all the time. My recovery is like night and day. I don't get that delayed onset muscle soreness so much anymore at all. But it's
Wow.
like at the end of the day, at the end of the effort, my legs will hurt and they'll be tired, but I'll wake up in the morning and I'm all good.
Yeah,
You can't
superhuman.
underestimate, especially I'm 45 years old. Like it's just good training is everything. You got to
Mhm,
put in the
mhm.
work.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to that. Back pain, headaches, and discomfort plague the majority of humans walking around each day. Chiropractic care can be the solution to feeling your best. I know for me personally, it has had a huge impact on how I feel day to day. The problem is that many people fear going to the chiropractor and getting their first adjustment. The team at Lombardi Chiropractic are the best of the best, a team that I've worked with for over 12 years. Visit their website at lombardichiropractic.com, and when you call, let them know you are a listener of the Co-Movement Gym podcast. The majority of supplements on the market are junk and a waste of money. Lack of regulation allows these companies to sell cardboard and a pill, and they get away with it. It's important to purchase your supplements from a company you trust, which for us at Co-Movement is Native Path Supplements. Shop their products at nativepath.com and use code COMO15 for a nice discount at checkout. That's COMO 15. Law enforcement officers have one tough job. While some calls may be routine, many are not, oftentimes putting officers in unpredictable situations. Thin Line Martial Arts is an apparel company that promotes defensive tactics training for officers so that they can be equipped to safely handle a hand-to-hand combat situation. Purchasing apparel from Thin Line Martial Arts promotes this message and allows more officers to attend training. Go to thinlinemartialarts.com and use code COMO15, that's COMO 15, to receive a 15% discount on us. Did you know a clean house reduces anxiety, increases your productivity, improves sleep, and decreases stress? Yes, all of those health benefits just from having a clean house. The problem is that no one finds cleaning fun, except for the great folks at Home Sweet Home Cleaning. Mention the Co-Movement Gym podcast and receive 20% off deep cleans for all clients who sign on using their reoccurring services and start enjoying a clean house today. Did you have any issues throughout the 2 days and 2 days plus out there? Like any thing pop up that wasn't according to plan or concerned you?
My I there was I mean that's also sort of part of training is being able to, and having attempted it twice, is kind of being able to anticipate whatever might come up. I had overall an amazing day. Or 2.5 days. I got great weather. It did rain the first day, so I was dealing with wet feet. On that trail, you're going to deal with wet feet anyway. So I had I had practiced for months my strategy for taping my feet. I mean, I could talk for an hour about my foot strategy
Sure.
because on a wet trail like that, when you're dealing with macerated feet, you need to know how to take care of them, do it quick, not let it, you can't be taping your feet the whole time. So I taped them once, and then I used wool to just keep them okay. By the end, at the end it was a disaster, but I could run on them.
Mhm.
Feet were rough. My stomach went off. It was just hard to get food in. But I just kind of did the slow drip of just, little tiny bits constantly. That worked. My body did great. I did start to hallucinate. It wasn't like one off, it was just everything I saw was not real anymore. So when I looked up ahead of me, my mind made buildings out of the trees. I was seeing signposts. It was all things to comfort me. It was like, you're good. This is just another normal day. It was like what I would normally see in my day. And the signposts were just like, you're okay. You're on the trail. You're not lost. You just keep going. And then if I looked down, I could, the trail was clear. So I was like, just keep going. It's all right. So the hallucinations weren't, in any way scary, or it just was a thing to keep, to go through. They did, require energy. If I wanted to figure out what was real and what was not, I could have focused on that, but I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to keep going. Is that a tree? Is that a building? Whatever.
That seems to be a common theme in ultra running, especially like 100 milers or over, is the hallucinations. I think like Courtney DeWalter talks about it a lot. I'm pretty sure Pat in Tahoe there I think he said like a 18-mile stretch that he didn't even really remember
Mhm.
like at all.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I guess like when you're that exhausted and that far gone, really, the body does some weird things. Yeah. Did you have, I'm thinking about like mentally, did you have any like positive affirmations or places that you went mentally to let yourself know that you're okay, that you're on the right track, you're doing fine? Like, I don't know. I have certain things with myself in that regard, but was there anything that you kept leaning back to keep you strong and positive?
Yeah, absolutely. To be out that long doing something like that, you have to have a really good relationship with yourself. Um, so over the course of the run, when things got really, really hard, um, I started to think of I kind of compartmentalized. I had like my body and what my body was telling me. I had my brain and what my brain was telling me, and my brain became totally stark raving mad. And then I had like myself, which, um, if you're a spiritual, you might think of as God, or you might think of as the Bodhisattva, but it was this like, no matter what crazy thing was going on in my brain, or no matter what my body was feeling or doing, they were kind of feeding information to myself, and myself was like, we're okay. I'm okay. I'm just going to keep going. um if my brain started to get really anxious and like, worry, you just your brain starts to panic and is like, okay, well, like my legs are, I could feel cellulitis coming on, and I did get some cellulitis. I'm like, my skin's gonna fall off, and and myself would just be like, you're okay, you're okay. There's nothing. All you got to do is keep moving forward. And I would say that out loud. I would say, you're okay. I would say, you're doing awesome. If I got worried about the time, I would put on music and like sing along to it. I would just relish in a Snickers bar. Just like, this Snickers bar is so good. But for sure, there's so much going on in the brain, and it's kind of more than a mantra. It's this ongoing, very clear and present dialogue from a strong, healthy voice that's saying, you can do this, you are safe, and this is awesome.
Mm-hmm. I can totally see how the mind can sink you or save you, right? Like, irregardless of the physical state, I think that is, if you're training, you did what you needed to, the physical body is prepped. That's needed. But the mind during an attempt like that, I think, can destroy you. And if you don't stay on top of those anxious thoughts, the negative pieces, sort of like you were saying, sort of like the three voices sort of going on and communicating, I think that's when the ship starts to sink.
Absolutely. And it's a thing that takes practice, because sometimes you need to believe your brain. The brain is going to say, stop and sleep, stop and sleep, stop. And it wants so bad to stop. And you don't have to listen to it. But then sometimes, you're hypothermic and you're literally not going to make it through the night unless you get out of there. Well, you got to listen to that. So there's I think it's just a thing that, training informs.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about nutrition on trail. Obviously, you're not packing a kitchen, and you don't have a stove. And so how do you eat over 2+ days and, keep your sugar levels where they need to be? You need to be taking in sufficient amount of calories. Like, what did you rely on the trail?
Yeah. So by far the heaviest thing in any kind of long trail, unsupported FKT effort is going to be the food that you have to carry. So a big part of the strategy is knowing exactly how much you need and can use, because if you carry too little, you're sunk, and if you carry too much, it's extra weight. So I read a book by Herman Poncer. It's called Burn, I think. But he's an evolutionary biologist who studies metabolism, and he posits that the body can't actually use more than about 2.5 times your basal metabolic rate. So if you multiply the calories of 2.5 times your basal metabolic rate, anything more than that, it's going to come out of your body and you're not going to use it. It's a theory. But I tested it in training and it worked absolutely perfectly for me. So I only so if you 2.5 times your basal metabolic rate over a 24-hour period, I knew my effort was 60 hours. I did the math. I literally counted those calories, added in maybe 300 to 500 extra calories just in case. And I left with 300 to 500 extra calories. So it was perfect for me. I would not recommend anybody do that unless they've field tested it. But then in terms of what I ate, it was a combination. Again, it was some practice. In earlier efforts, you want protein because protein helps in the recovery process as you go, but it's also really tough to digest. So I kind of had to find the right balance of protein and carbs. It was definitely mostly carbs. I'm a fan of the peanut butter monster trail mix, which is like peanuts and chocolate chips and sweet and savory. I did tailwind recovery shakes, like 3 of them as I went. Those are tougher on the stomach, but I spread them out. I did reward myself that first night with with pouch chicken and instant mashed potatoes in a Talenti jar. I had a lot of um, I don't eat it anymore. I will never eat it again. I had so much, and I don't even remember the name of it. Picky bars. I I liked them until I did the Northville Placid Trail, and I'll never have one again. But they were great. They worked fine. But I just lived. I've had enough. But I need food. Food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you so like let's talk about first like carrying all this food. Are you carrying like a Solomon 12-liter like a running vest, or do you have like an actual backpack? How are you carrying all this stuff?
I used a fast packing pack, which is like a hybrid um running vest backpack. It fit it. I don't remember how many liters it is, but it's it's an ultimate direction fast packing pack. It fits just my little quilt, which packs up to like that size. It fit my food. I carried 2 water filters, so I could just scoop as I went along and didn't have to like squeeze in the front. I carried very little, but you can run with it. So, and it's comfortable to run in. It does have it has a waist strap, but I got rid of that. It was just extra weight. I don't use it. So I did make a few little modifications to it, but I love that pack. You can run comfortably in it. It doesn't bounce around. It's very light and it carried what I needed.
You were giving us that formula for calorie calculation. What did that come out to per hour for you for calorie intake?
I don't remember, but probably about 150.
150. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't
All
think
right.
it was quite 200.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to check again. I had super detailed spreadsheets about all of this. That's the thing about it is so much of it is really just the planning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know. I'm very similar to you in that regard. Would you ever attempt to break your current record?
No, I mean I had a great time doing it. Um, if someone else broke the record, I don't know how I would feel. I really want another woman to go out and crack that record. I'm not the fast. I'm a good strategist. I'm a good planner. I will practice and train, but I'm not the most athletic. So someone who combines those things with higher athleticism can certainly go out and crack this record. And I would love to see another woman do it, especially. Um, I don't know. I could be tempted to go out and see what I could do. There are definitely some improvements I can make. I had a great day. I mean, my conditions were almost perfect. So I can't say like, oh, if only this storm didn't happen, or if I mean, things came together really well. So I don't know. I would be hard pressed to do it again. I have, I'm waitlisted right now for the Bigfoot 200 in Washington State. So, I have other things on my project list.
Yeah, the adventures are endless. So yeah, don't obsess over one. Yeah.
Exactly.
So talk about adventures. You and I have talked briefly about, I think it's tomorrow, right? Is it tomorrow? You're going for something up north. You want to give us a little brief rundown on that?
Sure. So I turn 46 tomorrow, and I'm not really a peak back. I just go out and do any adventure that sounds fun. And so I'm not really a big peak bagger, but I got to 42 high peaks, and I figure, well, might as well get 46. It's been, I think, like 4 years since I've had 42, but I turned 46 this year. So I thought, all right, well, let's just make this happen. So I turned 46 tomorrow, and the only one I have left I had saved because I wanted to finish on the Great Range. So I'm doing with a friend uh, it's like a version of the Great Range Grand Loop. It'll be 29 and a half miles. It'll include Marcy, Gray, Skylight, Haystack, Basin, Saddleback, Goth, the Great Range, Sawteeth, and loop back. We start at Heart Lake and loop back. So I think I think it comes out to about 13,000 in elevation, 29 and a half miles. When I've done that similar trip before, it took me about 17 hours. So I anticipate that's how long we'll be out for. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less.
That's awesome. That's great. Sarah, you have to let me know how that goes. And happy birthday, because you'll be on the trail tomorrow. So,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
yeah, I tell you what, I don't believe there's any better way to spend a birthday than having a hell of an adventure like that. I'm very similar. When family or whatever asks like what I want to do on my birthday, it's normally something outside and moving.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I mean, my birthday's in September, which is like the best month
I
for
agree.
New York
I
adventuring.
agree.
So
Mine is September 25th, so I couldn't agree more.
there you go. Yep.
Okay, so final question. If someone's looking for advice, they're considering getting into ultra running, trail running, do you have any tips for them or advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are two things. One is you can do so much more than you ever thought you could do. I mean, my two pieces of advice are in some ways conflicting. One, you could just go out and do so much more than you ever thought you could do. I ran my first ultra kind of by accident. I had never run more than 13 miles, and I went out and did 52. And it just happened. I hurt, like I couldn't walk for a month. I don't recommend doing that, but you learn quickly that the limitations that you believe may not even exist at all. The second piece, which is in complete contrast to that, is that training is everything. That if you want to do this and enjoy it, the best way to do it is to prepare. And that means not just getting your volume and your miles in, but really, figuring out, what nutrition works for you, what sleep strategies work. Um, Really everything that goes into an ultra is very much a kind of thinking sport too, because you can't just run it like a 5K. You gotta know how to take care of yourself.
Great advice, Sarah. Hopefully people listen. Great advice. So if anyone wants to get in contact with you after listening to this chat, is Instagram the best way? I'll put your handle in the description. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not big on social media these days, but I will check it eventually. So yeah. Yeah. And
Okay,
especially
awesome.
anybody who wants to go after the MPT record, I have a huge amount of information that I've collected and would be very happy to share it.
Nice. Yeah, maybe you're inspire someone. You know
Yeah.
what? Sidebar, that French Louie Loop, that I think you have the FKT on that too.
Yep.
That's something that has inspired me actually. Because that's more like in that comfort zone for me, maybe 22 miles.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, I don't know this year, maybe not. My longest run, it's funny, you had said that your longest run was 13 miles, I think you said. Mine's 13 and a half. And so I would like to do a 50K. We're organizing and hosting one next week. So I would like to chip that off. But that French Louie Loop, and it was funny, I spent about a half an hour after you sent me that one website link, like looking into it. And I'm like, you know what? I think I could do that, if not the fall, maybe next year. So
Yeah.
So you've inspired me, Sarah. So
Oh, good.
thank
Well, it's a
you.
great loop. It's kind of, if you want a taste of the Northville Placid Trail, that's perfect. It's a part of it is on the trail, but it's very much the same kind of. It's the same flavor.
Okay, well, we're making it happen. So, Sarah, thank you for your time today, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you, Josh.
One last message. I ask that you please check out our show sponsors, Lombardi Chiropractic, Home Sweet Home Cleaning, Native Pass Supplements, and Thin Line Martial Arts. Their links are in the description. Not only do these companies produce outstanding products and services, but they're providing an enticing discount to all listeners who use code COMO15. That's COMO15 at checkout or when you give them a call.